Hey guys, so this is me, Curtis, here to fill you in on some secret math facts that will make solving math so much easier. Alright, so the motivation for this. Alright, generally math teachers only tell you the what. They tell you here's the problem, here's how to solve it, end of story. But they don't usually explain the why. And when I say they don't explain the why, I mean they don't go even deeper into why we're doing this at all. Sometimes they give you a few examples of like, oh, here's where this is useful. But I'm talking about even further than that. Well, after a lot of thought and a lot of work with many students on many different math problems, I have figured out the why. And the secret is that mathematicians are inherently lazy people. I say this as a mathematician and with full appreciation for all that mathematics can do for us. But mathematicians are inherently lazy people. If you remember that, your life will be so much easier. And when you think about it, it really makes sense. Okay? So look, the very basics of math, right? Multiplication. Multiplication is just repeated addition. We got sick of doing the same addition over and over, so we called it multiplication. Right? We came up with a new thing because we didn't want to write it out all those times. Right? Same with exponents. Exponents are just repeated multiplication. So then we have the question of like, well, why do we have lines? Right? And like, why are we doing linear equations or quadratic equations and stuff? And really, it's because mathematicians got sick of solving the same problem over and over and over again. So they came up with a much simpler way to say, hey, if this is the argument that I'm putting in, right? If the length of my shape is 5 or what have you, then boom, I know the area, right? With just a line. Something in, something out. And you don't have to solve the problem over and over and over again. Now, for those of you who know even more about math beyond just like algebra 1, right? Summation notation. If you think about that, it's just fancy addition. Matrices, they can either be a fancy way of writing equations or they can be a fancy way of doing multiplication. The power rule of derivatives, right? It's a heck of a lot better than using the limit definition of a derivative because you don't want to write that out every single time, right? Statistics. What are statistics? Well, they're a way of getting a good guess about the right number because the mathematicians didn't want to talk to every single person. They didn't want to survey everyone, right? So we just came up with statistics so that when we poll 2,000 people about the presidential election, we have a pretty good guess on what the entire 300 plus million people in our population think about the election. We're just lazy. And so as soon as you think through that, it starts to make a whole lot more sense. And it starts to be a little easier to cope with the fact that all this new math is hard. Right? So when you see new math, think about how it's building on something that you already know and how it actually makes your life easier. Here's the other thing that mathematicians don't tell you. Alright? And I love this quote by Einstein. Do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you mine are still greater. Guys, I took a course in relativity that was taught by an absolutely amazing professor at State. But I'll be honest, I have no idea what that was about because the math in that class was insanely hard. It was all stuff Einstein had invented. It blew my mind. So trust me, this quote is so true. But here's the thing, all right? Anytime you see a math problem in front of you, all right? Mathematicians feel the same way as you do, all right? When I am reading an academic paper, I get scared when I'm reading it. But if you follow these 3 steps that I'm about to tell you, your life will be so much easier and you will be so much more successful because you understand that mathematicians are the same as you, okay? Step 1, after you read a problem, freak out. It is okay to be scared when you read a problem. Freak out. But then immediately go into step 2. Breathe, okay? Take a deep breath. And then step 3, solve the problem. All right? Anytime you have a math problem presented to you, chances are you're going to know how to do it. Chances are the professor or teacher or instructor who's giving you this problem believes in you and is nice enough to give you a problem that they've at least taught you how to do, or taught you something really close to it. So be scared when you first read it, right? Anytime you first read a problem, it's kind of overwhelming. There's a lot of information you have to take in. It's okay to freak out. I do that all the time when I'm reading a math paper and I see a big math problem. I freak out a little bit. It's big. It's scary. That's okay. Step 2, though, you have to breathe. Take a breath. Tell yourself you know how to do it. And then go and solve the problem. Start working through it step by step. Do all the things that you know how to do, right? Write your assumptions. Figure out the process that you need to do. What information do you need? Set it up. Solve it. All of those things that you know how to do. And if you follow those 3 steps, you will find tremendous success when doing math. All right? All the rest of the videos on my channel, I want you to keep that in mind. Anytime we're doing math, if you follow these 3 steps and remember that mathematicians are inherently lazy people, everything will go so much better. I wish you the best of luck and hope to see you soon.